anything you'd like to introduce yourself to the group, say anything?
No.
No?
I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think everything you said was wonderful.
Great.
I hope I can live up to that.
The next is the minutes from the last meeting. Comments, changes, additions.
Move we approve. Second.
All those in favor? All not? You say it's unanimous. Great. Next item on the agenda is follow-up items from our August meeting. We left a lot of information out there and open for further review. And the first item that was on the agenda was district attorney, and we have Neil here with us tonight, Neil McLean, correct?
Neil McLean.
McLean, I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
Thank you for
You did better
coming
than
tonight.
Sarah's last name.
Okay.
So I mostly just came to make sure Sarah wasn't gonna say something bad.
So now we all know what Sarah does.
But no, I really, Sarah in fact is the one that made me aware that I was on the agenda, which was a good thing, so I think I learned it last Friday. I'm not really informed on where you all are at in the process, in terms of just some thoughts about a collaboration, independent departments, or I guess a lot of other places are looking at this coverage from sheriffs and things like that. I would only suggest that it's been my experience, I'm a firm believer that you have two really good chiefs sitting at this table in front of you. And I think it's really important that nobody cares more about your community than the people that live there. I think if you can keep your departments, it's a great idea. If you're blending them, that might be a good idea as well. But I think to the extent you can keep the officers you have that know your communities, that are right here, you don't have to wait to call from 20 minutes or a half hour away. That's always a benefit to the communities if you can afford and if it's practical to do so. Glad to answer any questions you have, but again, certainly a sort of a personal ideology. I think it's always a good idea to keep your own departments. I think we hear a lot of complaints once, and I don't think it's through any fault of those other sheriff's departments or Maine State Police, but once you're reliant on them and they're not local departments or headquarters in your communities, you become part of just a much larger regional area of coverage, and I don't know that that's always good for small communities. So again, I'm glad to answer any question you have as well.
Go ahead, Joe.
If you don't mind if I just stand up real quick so my back's not to the DA here. So one of the things that the committee had brought up for a question is, if we combine statutorily, we looked at several different options, being able to contract with a different agency, and then an interlocking, what is the exact terminology for that?
The quasi-municipal.
Yep, the quasi-municipal, so basically having both municipalities essentially agree to create a separate entity which would govern one police department representative of both towns. And then the question was, would the district attorney's office be able to or be willing to still prosecute cases based off that, understanding that both agencies or both municipalities would agree to give that entity the jurisdictional authority to be able to operate in the law enforcement capacity.
Yeah, so we see these kinds of agreements. These are different. I read the statute, and thank you for sharing it with me. I think ultimately when it comes to the statutory language and the collaboration, if you formally join the two departments, I really think that's going to be a discussion between the town attorneys for each town, because we quite frankly can't give legal advice, but I can answer the question about whether we'd work with you. And we do see this. We see this in Lewiston, Auburn, where they have, the language is different, the agreements are different. Some of them are memorandums of understanding, mutual agreements, things like that. This sounds a lot more formal, which is why I think you're going to have to speak with your town attorneys, because ultimately you're gonna probably end up at the legislature. You're gonna end up getting things approved and made statutory potentially in terms of what you're doing. But for our office, we care about jurisdiction. We have all of Androscoggin, Franklin, and Oxford, and Wilton and Jay both fall within Franklin County. So I don't think there will ever be an issue for us, so long as each officer, as they do now, meets the certification requirements, the training requirements. That'll all be handled through the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. If everybody's got their certifications and there's an agreement, so if you keep, just depending on how you do this, if there was some hybrid where you're having Wilton and Jay individually but working together collaboratively, there would have to be some language that would be approved, that would, like a memorandum of understanding or a mutual agreement, because that'll be important to us to be able to go in and go, yes, Jay has the right to arrest somebody in Wilton and vice versa. So those are the things we'll care about, that it's done in a way that it's covered by an agreement between both towns. So that means you're gonna have to bring in the town managers. The officers ideally might even be appointed in both areas. I think these are questions for you to ask the town attorney. When I read that statute, there was a lot of language about so long as appointed. So again, and if you're blending, I've heard it both ways. I don't know where you're at in the process, but again, that might change the perspective too. Maybe then it's, I don't know what you would call it, but it's a collaborative, maybe a single appointment works for both areas. But those are really questions for your town attorney. You won't affect our ability to work with you, again, as long as we can check those boxes and say every officer is certified by the academy, they're all in good standing, and they have authority to cover one another's jurisdictions, Wilton and Jay. So a lot of times when we get into the ability to cover jurisdictions, they're based on really specific, like pursuit and things like that. Here, you would want an agreement that you can assist each other. That's some language you'll want to work out with your town attorneys. And then whatever you do with that statute in terms of the collaboration, I think that will be worked out for them as well. And I don't believe, the other question you would ask, I don't believe the court would take any issue with this, because remember, the court sits in Franklin County. They just care that it's happening in Franklin County. They probably care a little bit less than we do about those town jurisdictions, as long as something doesn't become unconstitutional, right? So I think if you get the right language, the right agreement in place, I don't think you'll have any trouble with our office. I don't suspect you'll have any trouble with the court, because they have jurisdiction over both Wilton and Jay.
Anybody have any other questions? Oh, good. Appreciate your coming tonight.
Sure.
Sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is MMA, Municipal Corporation Manual. I'm pretty sure none of us have read that whole thing. No. She's got one copy of it. Yeah, I know. I tried, and it was just way too much. There's a lot in there, but, we were able to find out, and what this is, just for reclarification, is if there was some kind of a merger situation, MMA is saying that we would need to go for a different type of, membership with them. And it's like a cooperation membership, and the fees would be different for the towns and what it would be if we did get to the point that was some kind of quasi-merger or whatever. So, I think everybody's got the paperwork too. You
Yeah.
copied it in?
Yes, I'm sorry, we didn't get this out ahead of time.
Right.
because I dropped the ball and
Oh,
Maria picked it
well.
up this morning.
I know it said both the town managers would pursue the information
Yes,
for
we
last
can
time,
pursue it,
but
sure.
yeah, it's okay, we know you're good,
They,
it's so busy.
they replied quickly today anyways and gave us they're at the back of your packet, I just hooked them in there. That gives you the cost, the currently membership is $710, as Leanne mentioned, which is applied to your first year's dues. And then there's information on, eligibility. Something that we can keep in the back of our mind. Sure.
If we go in that direction. So if you're keeping tabs in your notebooks, we this is something you wanna look for if we were going to do some kind of quasi-merger. So we'd know and have to provide, you know, the information to our towns on the additional cost of the changes of any membership that we presently have. I think it's important that we do that.
And it does include what, would be required for us to submit the
Yes.
application to. I think it's very clear in what they require,
They
so.
have a nice checklist
Yeah.
for us, that's right, very good. Thank you, ladies, for getting that from committee.
Another question on that.
Yes.
Is that dollar figure in addition to what you currently have, or is that moving to a different bracket to where that's the total cost? If we were to move.
So I
to
think
that
that's if we were to
membership.
move.
Okay,
Right.
so it's not maintain what you have, and this is in addition to.
Correct, so what we would have would, specific to the police department would go away, and then it would be in a, yeah, it would be an addition. But it would also be applied toward the first year's members, the first year's dues, correct?
So this, I'm just, my ignorance, this is specifically just for.
If we
police
went with a
department.
quasi
If it was